All right, so here's the plan. I'm gonna show you how I got this wall. This is what I'd be calling first pass, just a real rough in. I mean, there's some things that I tweak with, and you could tweak forever. I would call this a 75 to 80% done, maybe, just to make it more customizable. But we're in here to basically talk about how I got these edges to show up this way, like I showed you in class. So those two edges, well, the edges are actually just this folder right here. So all I'm doing is I'm coming in here, get these base textures down, something similar, a little bit darker. I did put an enhanced AO in here, so it just pushes them back a little bit because I pushed back the grout because I didn't want it to be as dark completely. So I did have that in here, and we can just grab all of this, put it in a folder, masters, and then grab all of this, and put it in a folder. This is just for testing purposes. It's really not being used. Okay, so to get this done, let me turn off the curvature layer and I'll start from scratch. So I'm going to fill in a new layer. So I just get a layer above masters right here. And you can see, we see all the normal maps and everything still showing up. I actually don't even care about those because I'm going to turn them off. So all the normal maps and everything are still there. They were shinier when I had the metal on and rough on. But really all I need to do is worry about the space color. And so inside our standard project, we'll see that we have these maps. You know, ambient occlusion, color bake, curvature, normal, position, thickness, and world space curvature, or world space normal. And if you look in here, this is what gets baked out. All of those maps that we baked out are actually inside there to be used. So all I'm doing is using this map right here. This map is called the Curvature Map. And if we take a look at it, let me drop it in here into my base color. And you'll see it almost works perfectly out of the gate. So, you know, you could stick with that. Obviously, we need to make it so we can see through the textures below, but it could be really close right there. And if we look at this, it's just the outlines. And what the outlines of a curvature map looks like, in fact, I'll save this out. There. And I'll open Photoshop and show you what the map looks like. That's me enhancing it a little bit, but I'll show you that in a second. And then I'll come back to this one here. So this is what it looks like. All the dark areas are the concave edges, which means that everything that goes down or inward is going to get darker. It's just a way to show the darkness. And then this, the white stuff, is all the convex edges, so the outward pointing edges, and any of the sharp angles that they make when they get them. So now I've got this map, right? So I'm using this map that shows me highs and lows, and I put it on here, and this is great for my highs, right? Perfect. But it's covering up the other stuff. So what I usually do is just go to overlay, just to start with, and see what I get. And then if you look at what I did in, if you look at what I did in here, I said border overlay, so I named it. We'll call this overlay just for now. And then I said border highlight, so I duped this layer like that, and that was the problem with this is it makes it darker the way it's going, so I wasn't super crazy about it, but I'll try border highlight, hard light I mean, and you know, and then I turned them down so they were a little bit more usable, like that. And then I think I kept this one the same, but I like the way that it enhances the stone, it makes it a little bit more drastic and cartoony. Okay, so those are the first things I did, and then what I realized is that I really wanted to push this out without heavy-handedness inside of here, because I put these in a folder, like just, I'm so used to doing it like Photoshop, put it in a folder like that, and then I think this is, well, it says 45 on this one, so there. And then I changed the overall darkness of them. Well, first off, when you put something in a folder, by default, it's at normal. You need to change that to pass through, because that means whatever the layers have for their effects are going to be used instead of the normal layer, like they're all going to be treated normal. So I like this, but it still wasn't pushing it hard enough for me. So what I ended up doing is I took this map out, I right-click on it, and this is the one that was baked in here, and I export resource. And then I tell it where I want to export it, which you saw me do a second ago. And then I'll open up Photoshop. And then I opened it up, and I basically fiddled with it until I got to this. Basically took this, pushed it all the way up so the darkness of my levels are higher. and then I took the whites and I pulled them down so I could get something in the middle. I think I did that 2 separate passes of this. So I did this, and then I went back in with layer and did this so I could push those lights out. So I get something, yeah, very similar. I guess I even pushed a little bit further, and then I save this out and I drop it back into Substance Painter. And then I came up to that and I added a new layer. And what I realized is I was gonna originally just do it like this, you know, and then take all this stuff out like we just did and do it just like the curvature map from before. And I'll come back to textures and drag this darker one in and then tell it to go to multiply. But I didn't like, or I'm sorry, lighten. But I didn't like how much brighter it made everything too. I just didn't think it pushed it enough. So instead of doing it that way, what I did is, and I'll delete this, I made a layer. So I'm going to say remove, and then I came up into made a white layer, just like that, just a simple white, really bright white. And then I said I need a layer, I need a mask. I'm going to use a bitmap mask, which we've talked about before, but now you see it. And I'm going to pick this darker curvature, because since it's black and white, it shows this white through on top of this object, and everything else that's black doesn't get any color. So you'll see we have no changes inside of the inside textures. So then if I turn that on and then turn on this, it enhanced the bricks the way I like them. And then theoretically, I guess we could get rid of the other ones below it, but I didn't mind. I'm pushing it or making it exaggerated because we want it to be cartoony. So now I've got this wall brick, and it's a tiling pattern. And just remember, when we're going to talk about this on Wednesday, but we need to make it match a style that we're going for. And this may be too realistic for the textures, but we'll take a look and see what we can go to. And I will talk to you later.